Here we go. All right, today is February 17th, Thursday. I call the meeting to order of the Timberland Golf Commission. And we have all commissioners here except Joe Pulcini. If he comes in, I'll let you know what time he comes in, okay?
Thank you.
All right, audience of citizens, if anyone wishes to speak, now is your chance.
Okay,
Name and address, please.
Richard Nappy, 197 Edgewood Road. A couple things that I want to talk about today. So just one of the topics you guys are going to be talking about today is the management company versus what's going on right now with the course, is that correct? Weighing the options?
Yes.
Okay. Well, as you guys know, I was a commission member for about 4 or 5 years. The reason I got off the commission is I just felt like we had no say and we were basically spinning our wheels, and I'm not on board to do that, so that's why I got off. So today, I'm here to represent, on behalf of the commission, this meeting is probably the most important meeting to date in the commission's history about what kind of decisions are going to be made going forward and how this course is going to progress. So with that being said, going forward, I think the commission should have equal say in what goes on with the golf course. I think the commission should have one vote. I think the pro should have another vote. And I think whoever's running the maintenance barn should have another vote. So there's a check and balance on this system, because the way it's run right now, unilaterally with one person making decisions, cutting trees down, is not working and is not gonna work. What did it for me was they cut the tree down on 11 about a month ago, to the left of the bunker on 11. That tree was strategically placed. It made that hole much more challenging. And not to mention the year before where they took 3 trees down on the right, which made the hole even harder. So now this hole is all opened up. And you know, the excuses we got for the trees being taken down were that they were rotting. And as far as I know, all the trees are being taken down with CIP money. Now, to me, if a tree is rotting, that's not a capital improvement project. That would be considered a health hazard. That would be considered maintenance on the course. So why you guys are spending $15,000, $20,000 a year on taking trees down does not make me happy. It's one of the reasons I got off the commission, because I know that I was coming up with all these ideas to do things on the course and everything fell on deaf ears. So I don't know where you guys are getting in the last year and a half since I've been off, but I'm here today because I know this is probably the most important meeting you guys are gonna have, and I felt like I needed to speak up. The other thing regarding the CIP is I think the commission should be the main thrust of where that money goes. We're the fabric of the course. Everybody on this commission either plays golf there, is involved with the course one way or the other, and all their friends play with it. So if anyone knows what should be done to that course, it's the people on the commission. We represent that course more than anybody. And I'm not saying they should have sole discretion of how this money should be spent, but I think their input should be regarded first. And then with the pro and management, decide what's best for the course. Not one person just doing whatever they want. And then my last thing is, I'm definitely supporting the management company that bid on the project. Because one of the things that we constantly heard over a 5-year period about why things were not getting done is because they didn't have the manpower. Go through the notes, they're there. And I know one thing that this company said is they're gonna provide the manpower to do the things they need to do. So what else do you need to know? That you're gonna have someone under contract who tells you they're gonna man it, they're not gonna have excuses telling you they don't have the manpower. How do you lose in this situation? I just don't see how it's even a question whether or not we should do it or not, because like I said, over the past 5 years, it was just like we were spinning our heads and asking questions constantly, and things ended up in the meeting notes and never got resolved. And then sooner, after a while, I was just like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And I commend you guys for staying on. It's admirable that you guys are still doing this. And You know, like I said, when I opened up, I think that the commission should have more of a say in what goes on with that course. You guys are donating your time, your energy, your thoughts, everything. And you know, in the end, you are the fabric of that course. You talk to people who want things done on that course, the people that play there. So that's all I really have to say. I mean, I know it's a lot to take in, but I'm definitely voting for the management company, and I know a lot of other people feel the same way. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you, Rich, appreciate it. Anyone else? Okay, not hearing anything else, we'll close the audience of citizens. Okay, approval of minutes. Okay. Everyone got them, right?
Good night.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
I need a motion to,
Motion to approve?
second.
I'll second.
Any else second? Any discussion, omissions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Yeah, that's it, that is old business, so. Tonight, we have town manager, Arosha, with us. And the goal tonight is to talk about Brightview, to talk about the town manager's vision of where he sees Timberland, what he can or can't do at this point in time, things of that nature. So at this point, I'm gonna turn it over to Arosh, and you can, give us your thoughts if you want. Or, yeah, let's do that. Let's start with you first.
Well, I was hoping that you would give me your feedback as a group.
That's fine, we can do that. Absolutely.
In terms of where you want to go, because we had a presentation last time and see the mayor coming, so we could for him to hear too.
Sure.
We had a presentation from Brightview, and we had an opportunity to ask questions. Hello, Mr. Mayor.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Oh, get a chair.
We're just getting started.
Perfect.
Sorry,
I'm a little late.
And there were some follow-up questions that you were kind enough to forward to me. I sent it to Brightview, they responded, I gave it back to you, I think you distributed it to
Everybody.
the group. So it'll be good for me to hear from all of you what your thoughts are. And if collectively you have a recommendation, the mayor is here, or we thought it'll be good for us to hear from the commission the direction they want to go.
Okay.
And then I can share with you,
Okay.
based on what you say, what I'm thinking about the golf course, and I'm sure the mayor might have some comments as well.
That's fine.
Okay.
All right, and we're gonna start with the guys on Zoom first. Sebi, do you wanna go?
Yeah, I'll say a few words. I did like the presentation of Brightview. I thought they were very thorough in their presentation. And I like some of the answers we got back on the questions that we recently provided to Brightview in relation to the course and what would happen on certain circumstances where, if they had issues with COVID, would they have enough people to get in there? And I did like the answers that I saw. Also like the answers in reference to, in relation to who's going to pay for gas for the maintenance and for the carts and so forth. So those questions that came back from Brightview were very thorough and concise. I like what they presented. I went over the report with down in Jerry's office a while back, what they submitted for answers on a proposal, and I liked what I saw. I like where they're going to have enough staff there to cover the course. On weekends, I like the idea that they're going to have like 6 employees there on the weekends to do whatever they have to do. And, I also liked the document that Mr. Norton put together based on the cost savings for 3 years. I think it's a win-win for the town. I think it's a win for the townspeople on saving the roughly $500,000 in 3 years based on the document that Jim put together. And I'll let him talk about that later. But my vote is to go forward with the outsourcing.
This is,
Yep.
Nancy.
Unmuted.
Hold on, Nancy. Nancy, hang on. Okay, go ahead.
I was on the fence for a while about, whether or not to go with Brightview. But the more that I thought about it, because I was thinking, okay, everything is in great shape. So why do we have to have somebody come in and fix it? But I think that after thinking about it, I think Brightview is going to take something that's really very good and make it better. So I'm hoping that that's going to be the case. All those little things that, because of we don't have the staff that can't get some of those things done, I think that's a good possibility that Brightview will. I have one question, Arosh. I should have sent this in, but I thought about it later. I think it might have been asked and answered. But if there is an incident where something happens and they're not going to cover the cost, it's out of their contract, who is going to absorb that cost, the town or the golf course?
So the way the charter is set up right now, all costs to be covered by the revenues that we bring in. So the short answer is by the golf course. And that's why we have to budget for some contingencies, which we do now.
And I was very impressed with how the number of questions that were asked and how well he handled answering it. That's my assessment. I'd say we're going to go with it.
Nancy, you're a yay to go forward with Brightview?
Yes,
Is that
I am.
correct? Okay. All right, Jim Bucella. Go ahead, Jim, I got you.
No.
Jim, I can't hear you.
He was in the.
Jim is muted.
No, I unmuted him and you muted him again. Go ahead, Jim. You have to unmute yourself, Jim.
He's muted. Okay.
Go ahead, Jim.
Now, could you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I don't want to keep repeating what everybody else said, but I'm 110% in for Brightview. When Rick Nappy came in and made his presentation to the citizens of Ordinance, I thought he was 100% right on. I want to go ahead with Brightview. And I also want to add, I'm disappointed with the acting director. Jerry, I wish you were just more transparent in the moves that you made and you would share with us. And you just haven't been. I'm in with Brightview.
Thank you. Puccini is not there. Yeah.
Well, I'm actually still on the fence. I would, from my understanding, the three references that were called, there was a negative from Longshore, which they pretty much admitted to. My understanding was the course in New York was in such bad shape that anybody could have basically improved it. And I don't know, there was a third reference called, and I'd be interested in what that was. And I think maybe Jim has also reached out to some courses. So I found this very helpful. There is, even though we're budgeting for a contingency, it's a risk because we don't know, just like we don't know if we kept it. If you have a storm or you need equipment, you can budget something, but you can't see for the unforeseen. So this was very helpful, and if this is
Tell
where
them what
we-
this is. 'Cause
I'm sorry, the analysis that, I thought everybody got it.
Jim's gonna present it.
Oh, okay, so this was very helpful. I do think we have a very good course. I, as well, am concerned about recent events and how things are not as forthcoming and some blindsidedness. But I don't wanna choose this option for the wrong reasons. So I feel like I'm copping out. And maybe I'll have a different opinion after hearing from other people.
So you're neither yay nor nay.
Right, but I'm hoping to gather more information by listening to my colleagues, if you will.
That's fine.
To persuade me one way or another.
Jim, why don't you go so you can,
Why don't you, Jerry, you want
Yeah,
to go through
yeah, I'm just
say?
gonna keep it short, it's just that I agree with just what everybody's saying about Brightview coming in. I mean, and like they said, we don't have the manpower, and I see like you have the manpower, and they can do a little bit better than what we got going on now. And I say, Brightview.
Jim Norton?
You know, anytime you go for change, you know, people are always afraid of change. And that's because I used to play golf down there, and I talked to them, and I talked to the pro, and he, you know, he's very, very positive about everything that's going on. But he goes, listen, you really should talk to the GM. And then, you know, I was like, okay, well, let me talk to this. But they have a facility there. They have pools. They have tennis courts. They have a restaurant, you know, and the golf course. So it's not just one. And you know, he was a local kid, and we got to, you know, reminiscing about different things going on. And he goes, listen, and Vince, the gentleman that came from, he said, listen, he is talking to him all the time, and he's very responsive. Anything has to get done, it gets done. And he goes, you know what? I said, he's in love with him. And they've been there for going on 9 years, I think it has been. And it's been very positive. Very, I mean, he goes, it's unbelievable. If something goes wrong, they take care of it. Stupid little things, you know, even if it's not in the contract, they'll just take care of it. Well, you know what? And this is the kind of relationship that you want with a vendor. You really do, because certain things are going to happen. Storms are going to happen. You know, I mean, they'll just pick it up. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, I talked to Jerry. I said, listen, you know, we talked, and you go to the recordings that we have. Listen, they're going to, you know, rake the traps. Well, if they don't do it, they can't do it with a machine, they'll do it by hand, right? They'll fix the divots in the fairway. They'll fix the greens. You know, you said, well, listen, I'll take somebody off of something else and do that. Well, guess what? They're going to do it anyway. So I'm saying, okay, fine. Let's talk about this thing. This is a big step. It's a positive step, right? And then, you know, somebody tried to come out with the analysis that we did on the cost benefit. Well, you know what? Listen, if we wanted to do this the right way, you would have seen that there were gaps in there, right? So I took it upon myself. I said, let's look at this thing. And it's very simple, you know. And we assume either a 5% increase or a 3% increase. And I said that to Peter, and you know, and Mark will give it to you. And did he forward it to you all to Erosion? Okay. And if we look at this thing, and
Everybody should have got it.
well, Mark, you know,
Got an extra copy of it. I don't want to take it.
if you look at this thing over, and you can't look at it in 1 year. You can't look at it over 1 year. If we're going to do this right, you look over 3 years, and potentially over 5, because this is what you want to do. Well, I look at this thing as a taxpayer.
Couldn't make it bigger, huh? That's right.
You should see
Even
that.
with the glasses on, I
Well,
can't
listen,
see.
I use 2 sometimes on top of one. But the fact of the matter is, you know,
I got 2s as well, it's still.
no, here,
No, I get it.
doubles, I do a lot. And this is pretty big. But when I had to work with, I said, as a taxpayer and citizen, I said, listen, we have an obligation to all the taxpayers to look at this thing, because over a 3-year period, whether you know whether you go 5% or 3% increase, you're looking at $500,000. And that's not chump change. We're talking serious money now. And that, you know, I mean, 2 things can happen. You either, you know, you stay the course and keep the rates at what they are, or you take some of that and you reinvest. And, but this is where we're at. And so, you know what? We bring in what, $1.3 million in that course, right?
Peter, we can't hear you.
Key, right? And overseeing, I mean, a weekly checklist of things that need to be done, right? That way, if they sign off on it and they're well, wait a minute, what the heck is going on here? Here it is. Yeah, you know what? And that's your checks and balances. At the end of the day, we all play golf. Everybody in the commission here plays golf. We're there all the time. If something's going wrong, you're gonna know immediately something's going wrong, right? You'll know within a day that something's messed up. And you know what? There you go. So it's taken care of. At the end of the day, it's taken care of. You can get a lot more done at a more reasonable price than it's getting done now. And it's business. It's business. So with that said, I'm saying, go for it.
Did the business make money last year?
Yeah, but you know what, Chair?
No. Did the business make money? It's a yes or no question.
It's tricky. You know what?
Okay.
But should it make more money? Could it make more money? Yes.
Okay.
Could this course have been taken another step up the way it should have been? Rather than say, you know what, I'm not gonna mow today, I'm gonna go do something else. It should have been done. At the end of the day, that's what it should be. Period. Should we have done, maybe we're gonna have to raise rates this year. Think about that.
Yeah, but why would I sell a $10 pizza for $8 when everybody else is getting $10?
Well, because we're paying taxes. We're paying taxes. In our town, we're
Yeah,
paying
but
taxes.
we're supporting ourselves as per the ordinance. It's not costing you, the taxpayer, a dime. As a matter of fact, we're throwing 160 back into the coffers.
We threw it back in the coffers.
Yeah, we did.
And now we're gonna throw back $500,000.
I think that's wonderful.
I
I
do.
do. I do. I agree with you. I'm here for what's in the best interest of this town. More importantly, what's in the best interest of the golf course. Because it is the gem of Berlin. Don't they say that? I think they do.
I've used that term.
Yeah.
I've used that term.
Yeah.
But you know what,
Not
I'll use
you,
it,
not
but
you
you know
personally.
what, Terry, I'm gonna throw your own terms back at you.
Yeah.
You sat here and said, what's the definition of insanity?
Yep.
Right?
Yes, I did.
And what was that, doing the same thing over and over again?
And expecting a different result. Yeah.
Well, guess what? We're doing the same thing over and over again with the same people,
I
and
couldn't.
expecting different results.
I agree with you. I agree.
You know?
Thing is, you're dealing with a living entity here. If it goes bad, and we have to look at all scenarios. Would you agree? You have to. Because we've all seen outsourcing go well, as Mayor Mark said at the council meeting, and we've also seen it go the other way as well. We've seen it go bad at Caney and Goody and East Hartford. We have. We have.
Okay.
And Hartford had to throw $5-6 million back at Caney. If it goes bad, and I'm not saying it's going to, and I hope to God it doesn't. I hope they make it better. I truly do. Is Berlin in a position where they are gonna throw $1 million, pick a number, $2 million back at Timberland to bring it back? Because it's a domino. So if that course were to go downhill, so too is the revenue. The revenue's gonna follow. Would you agree?
Well, put it this way.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just, you
I
have to look at all possible
I-
scenarios.
Like, fine. If we're gonna get to that conversation, then you know what? You don't look at the first three they give you for references. You look back at the other ones. And
You
look at
do,
the person's work, right?
you do. You
But
talk to
look at-
people in the industry.
And I have.
And
I've
you have?
actually
Okay,
talked to them,
okay.
yeah. And do you know what? Their biggest, what they do for a living, Jerry, the biggest thing, and why they get a different rate than anybody else on some certain things, because it's not just golf courses they deal with.
Right.
They deal with the corporate entities. They
They
do
do.
the landscape.
They do,
You know what? Do you know that they're Toro's #1 buyer? Were
okay,
you aware of that?
yeah, I didn't
Oh,
know
you knew
that.
that? Oh,
Did you know, I think Tractor Supply got a lawsuit going against them for not performing?
well, we're not gonna get into this.
Oh, no, well, no, let's get into it, because I can go on too, because I've done my
Well,
homework.
Jerry, you know what, I'm gonna give you,
And I'm gonna stop- no, and I'm gonna
a chance
stop
to,
because I'm out of line.
because you're gonna.
And I don't wanna argue, because I like to.
You're
I
very,
like Jerry, I like it.
It's in there.
Jerry, you're very much part of this conversation,
But-
you're gonna have,
Right, but
your
at the end of the
chance
day,
to talk uninterrupted as well.
I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, like what they're going back and forth, at the end of the day, something can go wrong at any time. So, you know, we either gonna go with it, take a loss if something goes wrong, we'll pick up, you know? Everybody else picked up, we can do the same thing. Just gotta take our time, you gotta take baby steps. It's all gonna grow, it's all gonna grow. Like planting a bush or a tree and watch it grow. Things are gonna happen, that's all it's doing.
Alright, my turn?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm sad, I'm extremely sad that it even had to come to this. And I'm sad because when the commission was formed, they stuck this little thing called the ordinance at us. We didn't know about it. Okay? Never existed before, and you know that, Mayor. Okay? And now, because of this ordinance, this is all happening. Because now we have to worry about making the money to cover the expenses. The expenses are going up and up and up. The only way we can cover that is to raise rates and have rates go up and up and up. So we're charged with the task for our charter to do the best that we can to make the golf course break even. No other organization in this town breaks even in a recreational point of view, not one. When I went in front of the council, or the ordinance committee, I got bashed, and you were there. I got lambasted by 2 council people about I brought up, I was told that residents don't go to Timberland, that more people walk at Pistol Creek than residents come to Timberland. So we had a vote, there was a vote for that 1 year, where we didn't have to meet the ordinance. And one council person, I'll never forget it, told the council that they're voting no against that because the certain commissioner shouldn't bite the hand that feeds them. Do you remember that statement? I remember it vividly, okay? So in other words, these council people have to know that they work for the town. The town people vote them in. We have such a wonderful piece of property in Berlin called Timberland. One of the best around. Yet, we look at other towns and what they do with their golf courses, and we'll just use New Britain. It's saddening what happens. And here we are, talking about, you've got this, that going on between each other, when if we really truly cared about this as an asset to the town, we'd make it work. But with the ordinance, we have to do what needs to be done, and that's to make money to cover all expenses. Baseball doesn't do it, soccer doesn't do it, no other entity, recreational activity in this town has to do it, we do. Okay, so we have to do it, right? Otherwise, if we continue on this path, we're going to price ourselves out of the market and people are not gonna play golf here. They're gonna go somewhere else because we're gonna be way too expensive. So, in a way, it's almost as though we have no choice but to consider this very, very deeply. Because of that, because this is a fixed cost, we know exactly what they're charging over the next 3 years. Contingencies aside, I mean, our hands are tied as a commission based on what we need to do per the ordinance. That's my 2 cents. Jim, sorry, Jerry, go ahead, your turn.
No, I'm good, I'm good.
You sure?
Yeah, I am, yeah, I'm good.
So,
We're gonna hear from Mark.
That's all I can do.
yeah, I'd like to hear from,
I'm not gonna kiss you.
from Mark as well. Mark, are you there?
Peter, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, everybody. Sorry I couldn't make it. I'm flying out at 6 in the morning to sunny climate. Listen, I'm just going to keep it simple. I mean, I think our crew right now does a fine job. I think they're probably a little short-handed. I also think that Brightview will do a great job based on what they've presented. So I think either way, the golf course is going to be in great condition. If it's going to save the town money, then I think it should be considered. But again, I don't want to have too much of an opinion, but I do feel confident that no matter what, we will have a golf course in great condition. Thank you.
Mark. Thanks. Okay, so we've heard from everyone, right? All right, so now, Roche, I turn it over to you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair. So appreciate all your comments. So few angles. Let me try do the easy one first. I called the city of Worcester Green Hill Municipal Golf Course. They've been there since 2000. What is it? 5. Long time. So they started the same thing. Their course was an absolute disaster. They have always had an outsourcing model, and the previous people had not done a good job. So I asked them, why did you outsource? Pretty simple. There was no grass there. It was horrible dirt. So they went out a bit, and I said, why did you pick Brightview? They are the lowest bidders. Simple as that. That's all they said. So I said, how's the course now? Night and day. It's beautiful. It's in great shape. I'm giving the Cliff Note version here.
Sure.
They're all pleased. And I asked, have you rebid it or have you rehired them? So obviously they have, and they're going out again and to get council approval and all that. I asked about any challenges they have had. They said, when they started, and once more they had an issue with staffing, that they don't have people in their pipeline, so they couldn't hire a superintendent for a while. They hired one that didn't work out, so things sort of fell through the cracks, but they pulled people from other areas. It took a while, a year or two, for them to get the staffing lined up, but since then, they've been able to manage it. So overall, they gave a thumbs up. So that's the shorter version of what I found out with them. Coming back to Jim, your report, I took a quick look at that. I ran the numbers. I'm fairly close to you except for one month. I removed the director as well to compare the apples to apples. I'm gonna come back and talk about that. The overtime number that you have there, we have that it's outside of the maintenance crew. When we had the storm and other things, right, to hire people to come and do certain things.
That's through CIP. If we
No,
did,
the 31,000 that's in there,
that's for our overtime.
okay, that's, you pay only for the maintenance people?
The maintenance or any others that come from other departments, we absorb
Yeah.
that cost.
So some of it, not all of it can be removed. And the 30,000, I agree about unemployment, but that's on the town column too, so if the both of them are in the town column.
Yeah, it is, it's already in the town, yeah, I know.
So if you're backing out from one column, you need to back it out from the town too. So my point is.
I thought about that, but I was like,
Yeah.
listen, this is how the budget was presented to me, so I was like, all right, listen.
So I would take 60 grand out of that. So here's my bottom line, I don't wanna pick these little numbers apart. But if you go with Brightview, depending on how you look at it, when things are normalized, you are looking at my numbers, 100 to 135, I would give a year,
A year.
right?
That's close, yeah.
So that's assuming that we build these contingencies. Another one that I asked Green Hill about, did they have to ever pay more than what was in the contract, and they didn't have to ever, right? So I'll come back to that too, because there are all these layers underneath that we need to unpack a little. So for example, if they asked them to do something extra that was not in the contract, they would hire them like a contract and they'll pay for it, so that is understood. The one big difference that they have, and this is something that we ought to think about if you go in this direction, there's a massive contingency, there's a risk with the equipment, right? Our equipment is old, they spend up to $20,000 equipment repair, anything more than that, they would ask the town to pay. So I asked Green Hill, hey, how did you ever go with this limit? They said it was never a problem, we built that into the contract. I said, how so? They would say that part of their contract was to say, if we wanna get out of this business, you meaning Brightview, you buy the equipment, maintain it, it's all on you. So I asked Brightview the same question, hey, if you wanna do this, will you do it? He said, sure. We'll come in, we look at your equipment, I'll give you a hypothetical example, and say, okay, it's worth $100,000. But we need to buy brand new equipment, will be $400,000. So I would give you $400,000 worth of equipment, give a credit for 100, the $300,000 you'll advertise over the term of the contract. I'm keeping it simple, 100, 100, 100 more each year, right? But at the end of the term, you get the equipment, or if the first year you tell them you're out of here because we don't like you, you still have to pay us the $200,000. That's a simple way any contract works, right? So, but you remove the entire risk out of the town, because I know we spend a lot of time, resources on equipment because they are not all in good shape, and that risk is there, so that's why those contingencies need to be there to some degree. But the operating materials contingency, I asked them if they wrote back, no, you'll never have to spend that, because operating materials, it's on us. So we will not go on that, but the other things like contractual services, question I asked about the storm. Any trees falling, they'll clear, anything that's at a certain level, but if you want to, massive trees that have fallen and they don't have the equipment, we'll have to clear it. Now, full disclosure, transparency, something like that, we would ask FEMA to reimburse us. Right. We did that last time, right? So I just want to put everything on the table so that everybody's aware of it. So, Jim, we're probably looking at, that's a number. Let's say it's 135 or something a year. Now, the other piece that I have, this is before Brightview, we need to address this one, right? Jerry, so thank you for agreeing to be the acting director. Jerry didn't want to do this job.
No, it's thankless.
He was thanks his job, and he has to spend a lot of time with all of you, which is also a challenge. You're not an easy group.
He had no gray hair.
So Jerry said, I'll do it until you find a solution, because we had to make some changes very quickly. So I appreciate you stepping up and doing it. But I also don't think we have to go and hire a new director, right? So I got this idea from Green Hill and from New York too. They have a combined position for the pro and the director, right? You don't need two positions. Combine them into one, you save the director's salary. That is a town employee, not a contractor, right? Full-time employee for the town, you're no longer a pro, and the way the Green Hill works, you're paid as an employee, you have a annual salary with benefits, you get paid, that's it, right? So I think it's important because if you go in this direction, in your example, and give the contract, the pro a stipend to manage it, I'm not comfortable with that. I don't wanna be in a situation where contractors are managing other contractors. You're gonna have 3 contractors there. You have the dining facility, they have the food service, you have the pro, and then you have Brightview. It's a $1.3 million operation. It's a pretty bad setup to have all that cash going through, not having a staff, town employee managing that. There's some risk, again, you build your controls and systems not around the individuals. This is, 100% trust Mark and Jerry and everybody else, but your control should work regardless of who's there. And there's a lot of cash that comes in. There are, others that Mark hires, in the pro shop. So I think it's important that we put that in place together, right? And that can be done easily. And it actually will help the budget if you do that, right? Second one, in terms of the timing of this, it's already end of March, end of February, and you're gonna open the course in March, April timeframe, right? We can't move forward unless you have that position set up, right? So one option is to get a job description, post it, interview, and hire someone before June 30th. Mark's contract runs till December. I haven't spoken to him. If he's interested, he applies, can he start earlier? I told Jerry and Mark both separately, I want to do this because this is probably the right thing to do. It takes away all of that tension that's in there by creating this one position, right? The second one, with the timing, even with the Brightview, this needs to go, we are a recommended body. I will make a recommendation to the council, and council needs time to think this through. Then we need to have a legal review that's going to take time. And then the third one is, we haven't even started this. This needs to be negotiated with the union. We're taking union jobs. It's not going to happen like in a week. They've already reached out to me. I said, we haven't made a decision, but we'll have to open up and see where we go with that. And then the other one is, these are very dedicated, loyal, hardworking staff, right? And I made a commitment to make sure that none of them would lose their jobs. Now, Brightview said they'll hire all of them, but it's up to them. I can't force them to take a job that they don't want to. There's an opening in the public grounds that one person can move, and the jury's standing on a camp, awkward talking about it, but
I can leave.
No, right, so I think we want to consider going with the third party, and I want us to think about taking the time to do it. If you don't do it immediately, why not take the time to make the switch 6 months down the line, if that's the direction we want to go? But as it is, we don't have everything in place to just flip the switch in March, not even in April or May. And then, what needs to happen? We've already ordered seed and fertilizer and all this stuff for next year. That's already, we have incurred what, $9,000 or so, that the purchase order that you
So
put
far,
aside so
90,
far? So all those things have to be factored in. I'm not that I'm saying you can't work it out, but take the time to think it through and put the structure in place so that regardless of if Brightview is here or not, we have this opportunity. I'm very optimistic. I think you're looking at an opportunity here where you can generate, I'm gonna be very generous here. I'm not talking 100,000, you can get close to a $200,000 margin that you can put back into the golf course. Okay, this way you don't have to go and borrow, you don't have to ask the taxpayers to, fund it. But Simeon needs that tremendous amount of investment that needs to go into, clubhouse and the bridges and everything else that's out there that, I think the council and the taxpayers will be happy to know that you're plowing it back and not coming back to the, mill rate. If you can keep it off the mill rate, be good, and I think you can do that. So that's my thinking. It's probably gonna be very difficult. March 1, it's not gonna happen. It's not going with the council.
There's a lot of stuff that has to happen.
Right.
Yep.
No, we do.
Can I make one more thing?
1 second. I just wanted to say that I hope that you could see the passion that we have for this golf course. I mean, we're in love with it, and we've been in love with it for forever, and we want to see what's best for the course and the town. So if things get a little heated at times, I apologize. We've all been there, right? Around this table, so. Jim?
Well, look, listen, we're very fortunate to have what we have. Truthfully, we really are. Having, the golf courses that we have around here, and we truly, really, as a golfer, it's like you have your pick of the litter. You really do. And our course, and Jerry, you've done a great job. And so your staff has, they have. Do you need more staff? By all means, we all know that. Listen, there's no question about that one. The reason I went with a stipend on that, there's different rules that municipalities and state have versus private contractors as far as hours go and things of that nature. And that's one of the reasons that I went with that. So you're not handcuffed with some of those rules, right? With unemployment and things of that nature. That was the reason I was like, all right, well, listen, how do we get around some of this stuff? And that was just so you understand some of the logic that I was coming up with. That's the reason I went down that road. Because if you have somebody exceeds a certain number of hours, all of a sudden now you have to, offer benefits. And this is, we're talking part-time help. So, your hands are kind of tied in that respect. And that was part of the logic. I was like, okay, well, how do we get past some of this stuff? And that was why. But that's, just so you know, but, okay.
If I may, my thinking with this, I haven't even discussed this large with the group. If you create this position, it won't be a union position, it'll be a top manager only. Because you'll be working 60 hours during the season, so that's how it works. And you need to have that flexibility, 1 week to work 60, and then things are slow in December, maybe you don't work that much.
Yeah.
But you can accomplish that if it's a top manager position. And importantly, it'll work within this existing budget, and that's how.
So I got a couple things to say.
Yes,
if I could.
Please do.
So, first of all, the ordinance is the ordinance, but I think the last thing I thought we said about the ordinance was we were gonna talk about averages and stuff. So how long has the golf commission been here now? How long have you been here?
Since 2017 or 16.
So 3 years, let's say,
Five
5
years. Yeah, 16.
So, and what was the golf course? Yeah, it's hard to believe it's 5 years, right? What the heck? So, what was the, I don't know what to call it profit, but what was the money this year or last year, I guess, or?
160.
And what was it when we started 5 years ago? Do you remember? I don't remember. That's what I'm asking. I'm just really trying to.
It would have been a loss, I would think.
It was probably a loss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't much, but it was
It was down.
It wasn't much.
Yeah,
Right.
it wasn't much, right? It was a
Well,
little bit.
in 2018,
There we go.
if this is correct,
Yeah.
because I was doing the 3 years averaging, because
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Well, we talked about that.
Yeah, 2018 was a 50K plus, 2019 was 2,000 in the red, 2020 31K in the black, and 2021 166 in the black.
Okay.
And so I only go back, those 4 years.
Right. And we, the last thing I remember, we did talk about that, you changing the ordinance for a rolling average. I don't think we talked about the amount of years, maybe 3, whatever, but so. It does seem to me like we're going in the right direction, town-wise. So I'm not sure what the urgency is. I think that's why, didn't I said when we were talking about making some changes, is well, let's wait another season. I guess maybe we already got through that other season, we're already in this next season, but, and the pandemic was the pandemic, who knows what that means. I mean, it seems like it meant good things for the golf course,
Well, it was
right?
a blessing for golf.
Obviously it was, yeah, so. but-
Best thing ever happened.
We don't know what's gonna
Yeah,
happen
no.
going forward, right? Yeah. No, we don't wanna pandemic, let's hope it's over, but, so, obviously, we have, you know, if we were to do this, we certainly could not get it accomplished quickly. We have the union issue, we have many other issues, so, I don't know what the rush is. I don't see a rush from my perspective anyway, from the mayor or from just a citizen in town. There's no rush. We're kind of headed in the right. We've been headed in the right direction at the moment, anyway. No reason to think we're going to reverse ourselves. I don't think. It seems like we've straightened out some things with the help of the staff at the golf course, with the Roche, the town. You know, obviously the golf commission's done a great job.
Well, Mayor,
Yes.
the thing of that is that if we had the manpower there that we need, then, I mean, obviously the 160 would probably go away, right? So, I mean, we're doing an awful lot with very, very little,
Correct.
and it could be that much better.
It's admirable.
You know, so it's not, I mean, a lot of this isn't just about the money either. It's about, you know, getting things done that are lacking as well. And, you know.
But now Brightview said it's in great shape, right?
It is.
Yeah.
From tee to green, it's in great shape. It's the little things
Not to
that
say
set
that things
everybody
can't be
apart.
improved, yeah, I
It's
mean,
a little
I
thing.
understand that. And I also, then there's my perspective on government contracting. I don't have a good, relationship with it from my past job at the federal government where we contracted out services. I didn't think it was a good thing to do. It didn't turn out to be a great thing to do. It cost the government actually more money in the contract that I was involved in than it would have if we hired government employees. You know, it's just, it's a scary thing for me to just, from past perspectives, to do. Because I don't find it always does save money. It may look good on paper, to the federal government, to DEA, to the Department of Justice, but in the end, as the user of the contract and being involved in some negotiations with it when I was in Washington, I think it cost us a lot more money than it would have been if we hired some government employees, including their pensions and benefits and everything else, because you have a lot more latitude with government employees for what they can do, what you can have them do, at least in this particular contract that I was involved in, so I think we need to, I would want to tread very cautiously before we contract out anything. But even if we decide to do that, the timeframe is, you know, we're already gonna be into the season, right, very shortly. As Roche said, well, you know, we have union issues we would need to deal with, and there's, you know, other things to deal with, so. You know, I don't know if the time is right, we can't get it done quickly. I don't think it's anything that's gonna get done
No.
quickly in a month or 2 or 3 or 4. I mean, I would probably suggest, and, you know, we can talk about it at the council too, which we should, to, you know, get through maybe this season and see what happens. And the pandemic hopefully is, I'm praying is over. I hope we're all praying it's over. It seems like we're headed in the right direction, which was always the thought, you know. The ordinance is the ordinance. The language can be changed. It's made, it can be changed, you know. I mean, I don't, you know, in my mind, there was never any final decisions. It's a relatively new commission, right? 5 years is nothing compared to all the other commissions we have in town that are here forever. It's still kind of a working test period, that's how I always look at it.
We can tweak it, is what you're saying?
Huh?
We can tweak it, is what you're saying?
Of course we can. And we talked about doing that already. We did talk about that, right? And,
Yeah.
you know, if we use the average, even if we use the 3-year average, wow, we're in pretty good shape, right?
So,
But you know, and more resources, I mean, that could be talked about too. So I don't feel like I feel like Timberland's headed in the right direction. I don't think we're at the end of the kind of the test to see how the golf commission's been doing. You've been doing great with oversight and, you know, things have been going relatively well. And of course, there's room for improvement, we know that. And certainly, if we're just talking the money right now looks pretty good, right? I mean, we're more than breaking even. And I think most of us, I think on the council and most people probably in town, if you break even, I think everybody's kind of happy with that one. You know, as long as we don't have to kick in more money, that's the worst scenario, you know. But so, I don't know. I mean, I'm not convinced that we're there to do this, to make this decision yet. I think to consider it is great, and we can, you know, it was a good thing to look at this and see what we think. But yeah,
Okay, but one other thing, if you decide to do that, right, just what I'm thinking, if you decide to go back with the employees that we have here, now you're going back into the union, now you're paying another problem, because as you're making money, now the union wants a raise. So how do you,
well, I mean, that's to be negotiated, but I mean, I guess the problem we're at now is I don't see how we would get this done this season, right?
Right.
Without interrupting
that's
everything, right? So we do have a little time to, you know, obviously it's gotta be brought to the council, we gotta have our due diligence too and look at it and see what we all think, but, and if the ordinance, you know, the ordinance could be tweaked, maybe that's what we do, you know, maybe this is the right thing to do, I don't know, I have no idea, but maybe it's the right thing, maybe it's not. I'm not convinced it's the right thing, I'm not convinced it's not, I'm on the fence too either way, I don't know. You know, and I'm a little bit of a disadvantage because I don't golf. So I'm not, you know, I know Timberland, grew up in town, you know, but I actually myself would probably do some more due diligence at the golf course and learn some more things that I probably should know before, you know, as being a member of the council, make a decision, but, because it's great on paper, it all looks good, so in practice, it doesn't always look good. But so, you know, I'm just thinking out loud now, you know,
Well, I'd like to know if we could sit down with somebody from the union and see if we can't work together somehow. I mean, there are things that people can do that they don't have the time to do, yet if we do them, they file a grievance.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, so
I get it.
and that doesn't help the situation
Yeah, no, I
either.
agree. I mean,
You know what I'm
that's the
saying?
problem, you know, so we were fortunate in our agency, we had no union, so, you
Right.
know, it's with the union, it's always different, it's, you know, so I don't see why we can't do that. I
You
mean,
could
there's
sit
no
down,
reason.
just sit down with them, have them come to a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I speak to
Sure.
that? Because
Yeah.
this is a memorandum of understanding that was between the town of Berlin and the union. And it was effective from April 2018 through November of 2018, in which they allowed volunteers to trim sod around the trees, fill divots, maintenance in planting beds. And we had some volunteer opportunities, and I don't think we did a good job overall of promoting this and making it happen, but we did sit down with them back at this time and were able to do that.
Yeah.
So I think there's precedent for that, so I would agree with that. And then the final thing I'd like to say, because I do agree the timing doesn't work, but I think then it would be important to set certain goal dates in mind. To go a whole year and then for us to be here next January talking about this, to set, and you've mentioned it, Jim, some metrics to say, okay, you know, by, and I'm making this off my top of my head, you know, by August 1, this is what we want to have accomplished. By December 1, this is what. So if there's a decision to make a change, that we have some kind of goal deadlines.
You have a transition plan.
Right, but we need to, you know, set a goal to make that decision, then the transition, whatever. And I take this year to do that with some concrete goals and timeframes.
Listen, I have had a lot of experience, you know, dealing with outside contractors, a lot. And believe me, there's been the good and there's been the bad.
Yeah, there's something in the paper today about, right, about contractors in the state, you know, the whole state pier and all that stuff.
Yeah, oh my God.
That's okay. Whatever, but yeah,
And
so
yeah,
there are more stories.
there's a lot of, listen, I've
You
had,
know,
I've had success stories where they thought I was crazy. You're out of your mind, guess what?
It works sometimes too, it does.
Best thing we ever did.
Sometimes.
Best thing, and it's still working, and they're, you know.
Sometimes, yes.
right? And it's just like,
There are successes.
there are, and,
I think far and few between, in my opinion, but that's just my
you
opinion.
know,
But that's okay. No, I get it.
truthfully, Mark, I think it comes
Yeah,
down to oversight and metrics,
It does.
and it does, and making sure that the contract is there, and it's key. That
Which
is,
is, I think, what falls short is the oversight. That happen, I think, in the government, maybe not so much in the town government, but state and federal, the
Well,
oversight
it's-
drifts away, yeah.
but if you have we had, you set up a monthly checklist.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, for security purposes, and that was basically my
Yeah.
focus on some
Yeah.
security, because you're dealing with, PII, right?
Yeah.
And if the security's not there, it's like, holy, last thing you want is to be on the front page.
But it's, it's not even, did they perform what we wanted them to do, it's always the contingencies to me, and it's always the cost, and it's kind of what Judy said, I would certainly love to start with a, conversation with the union about things that, we could do better, that they could do better, the employees could do better, whatever, because the union does, I don't know if it's as bad as it, maybe it is, I don't know, but I mean.
You got what you got, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe there's things we could agree to, that would make them working there.
Start somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking, we do have to start somewhere, I mean, that's a good place to start, as we move forward and figure out what to do. But I don't personally see a big sense of urgency, because to me, the golf course is running great, I mean, relatively speaking, I'm not saying it can't be better. Maybe this contract will make it better, maybe you'll make more money on it, maybe you won't. But, I mean, you guys are doing a great job as oversight, Roche, doing a great job with that. And the course is in good shape from what I hear from people, even outside of this room, people in general.
Compared to what it was, it's gonna be, but
Right? It's better,
there's still,
am I right?
no, it's better, but
yes. And
it's
that's
got a long
good.
way, it's got a way to go. It doesn't have
No
to wait.
question.
I think we all agree.
Everything in
how do
town
we
can
get
get
there?
better, yeah,
Right.
well,
And that's really what we're trying,
Right.
how do we get there,
Agreed.
right? And
Agreed.
I think we all agree with that.
oh, yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
But,
If I may.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that might be helpful, if you have already done this, I apologize for asking the question, that to come up with a statement of needs, right? The reason why I'm saying
I think we
is,
did.
I think we need a roadmap and a strategy, a big picture, right? Like, we can't do everything today, but here's something we want to get done during the next 5 years. Then we can have these conversations,
Yeah.
not just at the golf commission level, at the council level, at the budget and planning, on how do we get these things done. It's not gonna happen unless you get it on a plan and a map. And I think you have the expertise and the broad knowledge and what's good for the course to elevate that conversation. And again, I apologize if you have a statement of need, I haven't seen one. I don't know whether you haven't seen one.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, we
Um,
have.
I think we
Okay.
do have one, right?
All right, so- perhaps we should not just,
How about a statement of need, how about a statement of need, and then, that's good to a point, but then you need like a long-term vision of what we're trying to do, right? I mean, and that's really what we're looking, and we're talking, listen, Timberland's 50 years old, we've outgrown what we had, and I think we all agree with that. So why don't we look at this thing in a logical way to say, listen, here's our statement of need, and then let's look out, listen, here's like a 3, 5, 10-year plan, if you will, and even maybe 25 years. What do we want? But that's a living document, right? And it's just, I mean, we're infants here if you think about it, Mark.
Yeah, that's
right. Hey, Peter.
Right.
Yes, Seth, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with Jim is saying, but one of the things that the statement of need that's out there is that we need more staff up there. I mean, Jerry's doing the job based on minimum staff, and that's one of the big issues that we have up there, is that we don't have enough people up there working to get everything that we want to get done up there. All right, and that's one of the reasons why we're leaning towards outsourcing it, because we don't have the manpower. However, going forward with this, if we decide 6 months down the road or whatever, do we have to start this whole process over again, where we have to go out to bid again if we decide that that's the way we want to go? How would you leave it with Brightview? These are things that, I'd like to know how that's going to work going down the path here.
I mean, no matter what, we know we couldn't commit to a contract now anyway, so.
Right, I understand that, I
Yeah,
understand.
so, but you're right, I mean, we have to see, well, I mean, I don't think we'd have to start over, I mean, we kinda know,
Here we go.
yeah, we know what we're looking at, right?
Yeah, it's whatever, they'll come up with something.
That's the
But
point of setting some goal
Yeah,
posts in
goals.
mind, what you wanna.
But I think you
what
need to
wanna-
start with, certainly the council needs to hear it, you need to start with, we're talking about the union, and we're talking about the lack of staffing out there, right? So we need to, I think we need to start with that, to hear that, as council, to hear that, all right, we're looking at the contract, we should have this a shorter discussion in the council meeting, upcoming council meeting, when we have some time, just, have to put them on the agenda.
And
then figure out where to go, yeah.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
By getting more staff up there, that's gonna put more expenses into to our process. So if we get another 5 more people up there, now we're gonna have to go out there and match it with the rates and
Whoa, 5 more
that-
people.
yeah, that's not gonna work.
Well, that won't work, I can tell you that right now, but that doesn't mean that, we can't, do something different, so. Different.
Right, I mean,
Different, yeah, we got
this is the conversation, Peter, I've approached the union on this. You don't need to have 3 more full-time blue-collar. We gotta think creatively about having seasonal people. We gotta think creatively about allowing some
Schedules.
volunteers to come and do some work.
Right.
You're not
Yeah.
taking your work away, right?
Yeah.
I've tried to talk some sense into my colleagues about how we can make this work
Yeah.
so that it works for everyone.
We're not
But
taking
you need
any
to be a
work
little
away
bit
from
flexible.
anybody, there's so much that can be done up
Right.
there
Yes.
that they're not doing, and they don't have the time.
If half a dozen people go once in a while and fix the divot,
Right.
that's wonderful. Like, why is that a problem?
Exactly. Like,
Yeah, we've been-
But I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so those are the conversations we need to have, and I think we can engage them in a conversation so that they're also part of this, because they are very dedicated, passionate people. I've no
Absolutely.
doubt about it.
There's no doubt.
They have heart.
Yeah.
They would be the first to cry if this place goes back.
This is absolutely not personal
Yes.
at all.
I know.
We love everybody up there. I mean, this is not
Yeah.
personal at all.
Because right now, they only work 120 days, right? Anybody who-
The seasonal,
Yes, see,
No,
what is
change
it?
that, right?
we changed
They
it
change
changed it to what?
They can work
as much as they want.
Oh, as much as they want,
Yeah.
okay. Because last year was 120.
We had to abide by mirror, then we sat down with the union, Roche and I, and the union sat down and HR, and we came up with this solution. Best we could do, I thought it was a very fair solution, the rate of pay, based on the couple of increases we're gonna incur in this fiscal year. I think we're being very fair to the people.
So they
that we're
could
gonna
start
be-
from March all the way up.
All the way through, all the way through.
Okay.
Good.
You know?
Well, I certainly can't thank you guys enough for coming and
It's important. Biggest asset of the town, we know that, so we wanna keep it going, no
Who might give you a job?
Maybe, I'm not looking for one when I retire, remember that.
Well, we're gonna play, you can't for me.
Yeah.
I did many years, like road caddy.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's not my learn.
As long as the tips are good.
No
I'll be there.
better the horse than.
We need to drive the beverage cart for that one.
All right. It's Pearl and Amber's cheap now,
CIP
You can say
agenda?
that.
Stay for that part?
I'll say.
yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, can you guys sit through one more agenda item if you don't mind?
Sure.
So we can get some clarification.
Yeah.
We have a CIP, which you all know. And we just need clarification. We don't really know exactly what's capital, what's not capital. Are cutting trees capital? I mean, we were told we can't get this because it's not considered capital, like fertilizer or mulch, right? But yet, a tree coming down can be. So if we could just get some clarification on what CIP is,
What it can be used for,
what it can be used
what
for,
it can't be used for.
and we'd also like to work in conjunction with maintenance on how that money is spent. Golf, that's golfers' money. We understand that there's stuff that needs to be done, when there's things that we would like to be done, So if we can meet in the middle and come up with a plan, but we don't really know what we could spend that money on, it's never really clear.
So I assume that we don't have written policy for the CIP, that's the problem, right? So my general definition of the CIP is something that would benefit more than 1 year. Piece of capital improvement, capital equipment, that you make the investment that would last for 5 years, 10 years or more, right? Doing a bridge. Doing renovations. I hate to put you on the spot here, but I heard the tree cutting. Generally, like in an operation, that will be just operational expense, right? It won't be considered tree cutting. That means it'll have to come from the regular operating budget. But that's my advice is we ought to, I'm not just putting this back on you, but let's put our heads together and come up with a policy on CIP and a process for how that could be used. And I think it's good to have participation or feedback from the Gulf Commission and then have some kind of a
Work together on how the money's spent, so
Right.
we represent the golfers, the town represents what needs to be done. So Mike, I do have a question, let's take Sage Park for instance, if a tree is rotted and it presents a hazard, who pays for that tree to come down?
public grounds.
So
It's
is
in their
that-
budget,
Yeah,
public
It's
grounds.
a town budget?
Yeah.
Town budget, they gotta
So it's just a general funded
No, not
budget?
general, that's public grounds. that's
Public
budget.
grounds, okay, so it's out of their
Yeah,
budget,
their budget, yeah,
okay, that makes sense.
that means you pay for it.
Yeah, no,
All of
that's,
us
you know,
all of
that's,
us pay for it.
no, that's good, that's what I wanted to hear.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're at a golf course, I mean, trees are gonna come down, right? That's what-
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
But if they're rotted,
Yeah.
is that still part of the public grounds, or is that now part of the golf course budget? You know, and then you start getting, I mean, this, you know.
Well, like the pavilion, for instance, the pavilion area, right, that's not considered the golf course, so if a tree has to come down in the pavilion, that's public grounds, right?
I think, yeah, I think so.
50 yards away on the
Yeah.
golf course, it's
Yeah.
golf
It's
course.
not, that doesn't make any sense.
No, well, I mean,
Okay, well,
The same way,
we have the definition, at least we know.
public buildings, facilities pay for stuff in the clubhouse, all the equipment replacement.
Yep.
The dishwashers, the refrigerator, the coolers, the bathroom renovations, the tile replacement, the carpet, that all came from a budget somewhere else,
Right.
right? So that came from public buildings budget.
Got it, no, that's,
Right.
It's helpful.
just, yeah, that is helpful, thank you.
so with that said, if we were to build a clock, it's more than 1 year, right? That's a multi-year type of.
But it's a really bad clock you put on.
Hopefully it works, let's just get
I hope it works, you know?
But that covers, it spans over multiple years.
Right.
So technically, that could be considered, I mean, I would consider that capital improvement,
We talked about that.
right?
I would agree with that.
All right.
That's fair.
Very well. All right, well,
That help?
very much so, thank you.
So, as far as the council goes, cause I think the council needs to get some of this, just so we can all think, we all have a chance to think about it and, it's a good point, we have some goals to, as we go through the season, what we think, right, what everybody thinks, so I don't know, just find it in one of our next agendas.
You want, I'll have an agenda item,
Yeah.
just call it briefly, just like a update from the golf commission. something
Yeah,
like
I
that.
think an update about this contract,
And
we
you
need to hear
Yes.
about it,
Yeah.
right,
Okay.
we should hear about it, and other thoughts we just talked about today, right,
Yeah,
and I'm there, some Roche is there, we can bring it up what we're talking about moving forward,
Sure.
I think it's
Love
so
to.
a fluid, thing, I don't think it's,
You can either do the.
I think you guys are doing great, honestly, compared to what it was. That's when we created the golf commission, right, remember, that was the whole reason to do it, and it is moving forward. I mean, not saying it can't move further forward, it should, but it's going in a good direction. And, maybe this contract is the right next direction, maybe it's not, I don't know. Yeah, but let's get it out to the whole council, and then we can continue to discuss it for a while. Rest of the season will
Yeah.
proceed. Get there. Huh? Yeah, I think there are. I mean, I've golfed, just I don't do it like you guys do. I go to it every day. I don't know how you do that, but I'd be
I'm
very
putting my money on you over him.
I'd be very frustrated if I went there every day. To me, it's more frustrating, huh?
I'll give you a couple of strokes.
It's too frustrating.
You have no idea.
It's too frustrating a game. It's very
He's
frustrating.
got balls planted everywhere.
So that's the wonder I know. I gotta learn the trick. Yeah, you can teach me. It won't be as frustrating. Yeah, all right.
Not a problem.
Yeah, so
Thank you very
so
much.
that's the next step,
Thank you.
right? We'll try, we'll come to council and then we'll
Sounds
go
great.
from there. Definitely some talks in the town with the union, I mean, as far as,
That would be
I
great.
think we have to do that.
Yeah.
Great.
No doubt, yeah, thank you all.
Thank
Thank you, appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mayor.
I really, see you guys.
Appreciate it.
See you guys.
Good night, good night.
Good night.
Thank
Thank you. All right, hopefully we can get, Mark's gotta go to Florida tomorrow, so we'll just see if we can
You
get.
wanna move him up in the
Move
agenda?
them up,
We
we put
can
it
move him
down.
up. Yeah,
But,
we
I mean,
gotta,
he's welcome to
we
stay.
gotta make a motion.
Oh, yeah, can I add to the agenda that we, I think we need to elect officers. So can I make a motion to add to
Yes.
the agenda? Is that the way to go?
Yes,
So I make a motion that we add that to the agenda?
I'll second. All in favor?
Uh,
Raise hands, please, out there. That's everybody.
To clarify, we have a chairman and a vice chairman,
Correct.
2 positions?
Correct.
I'll make a motion that we elect Peter, or nominate, I'm nominating Peter DeFazio for chairman for the golf.
I'll second that. They paid so well.
Yeah.
Good.
Any
You
discussion?
should see the big addition he's putting on his house, it's unbelievable.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstaining. Thank you. Vice Chair?
I'd make a motion, to nominate Jim Norton for vice chair.
I second. Any discussion? Favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Good job, guys. Keep it
Thank
up.
you.
Good
It's just
job.
like the town council.
Okay.
I think it's great.
Okay, Mark, are you there? I'll unmute you.
Peter, I am here.
All right, you know what, Mark, you gotta get up early tomorrow. You wanna do your report?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right, go right ahead.
Yeah, I can see.
All right, everyone. The golf course is obviously closed during January. I'll just run through the report here. I updated the website with the 2022 rates. I've been in contact with our scorecard company, and they've sold all the advertisements, so we should get our scorecards probably mid-March. We get 20,000 a year from Burco. They're no charge to the town. So we've been doing this since 2011 and fortunate enough to have advertisers pay for our scorecards. Saves us about $3,000 a year. I registered the Team Timberland for the PGA Junior League. Last year we had 6 teams. We're the second largest program in the state of Connecticut for Junior League, next to Lyman Orchards. So it's pretty good considering we don't have much of a practice facility, but we have a lot of locals that play, which is great. Jerry and I met with our marketing manager, Deidre, to discuss the advertising for 2022. Part of my free instruction that I'm giving is going to be a once a week video for our social media and newsletter. So once a week, I'm going to film a free instructional video for everybody. Hopefully it helps you. I've been working with the outings and the leagues on getting commitments and dates set for their events. Sent out the new contract, and I've gotten one back, but I expect to have about 13 shotgun outings of maybe 60 players or more this season. I spoke with Lindsay. Actually, Jerry and I met on the phone with Lindsay a couple days ago, our Golf Now rep, and she's going to do some dynamic pricing for us online this year, which is as we get closer to the actual tee time, the rate does discount slightly. So, and it's all just automated online. So we're going to work with her. We're under contract with them another year. Towards the end of the year, we'll probably see if we want to continue doing what we're doing or not. She mentioned G1, which we always hear about. We've been hearing about for a few years. That's their cloud-based program. I think the holdup is there's a report in the town that the finance department cannot get. So that's kind of the holdup on going to that. But she said she'd be willing to show us all the updates over the last couple of years. She'd be willing to attend a meeting with the commission. So maybe we'll set one up in the summertime and maybe look into that for next year. The town building maintenance has been working on cleaning up the ladies' lounge, and the lockers have come out. I think they're going to replace with a few, maybe 4 or 5 lockers compared to the 15 or so we had. But they are cleaning the ladies' lounge and restroom as we speak. Got certified US Kids certified coach level 2 and ADM certified this winter. So a lot of junior stuff, and it's kind of where I'm leaning most of my instruction programs towards the kids. There's a lot going on for them, which is great. And I sent a blast email out with the approved rates for 2022. Other than that, I mean, I just took a walk outside. It's pretty windy, but it's pretty warm too. So who knows? We may be opening that course sooner than later. But I'll be ready, as soon as I'm getting back next Tuesday. So I'll probably start setting up the golf shop, cleaning up a little bit when I get back. And just going forward, I'm going to start contacting staff, seeing when they're ready to work. The high school girls play in the spring, so I'm going to work with the coach and get their schedule. We've got about 20 leagues committed to Timberland, which is pretty crazy during the week. So setting up the tee sheet is always a challenge, but we'll make sure we do it right. And I've been doing it enough years that it's been working out pretty well. I got to get our rates signed, and then we'll set up the driving range and really start putting together a plan for our marketing with social media and blast emails. And we're going with Deirdre for another year. I feel like she did a nice job last year, and we were always in the face of the customer via social and blast, emails, and our website was always updated. So she's willing to do, work with any organization or, outings, and she reaches out to all these people. She's got some nice ideas. So we'll be working with her, and that's about it. I'm excited for the year. The off season is always where, we have long discussions, but once we get going, it's a pretty well-oiled machine. So I'm looking forward to another great season. If anybody has any questions for me, please let me know.
I do.
Go ahead, you have questions?
I have 2 questions. Just Deidre's, is that that's in the budget under advertising? So as part of the advertising budget, is her fee like it was last year? Okay. And then my second comment relates to, I took another look at the forms that went out to the outings, so it relates to the outings. That's why I'm tagging it here. I was concerned that Remzi, the food selection, it's not clear with the pricing if tax and tip are included, and we've had issues with that in the past. So who will be clarifying that on the document so that the outings know what that is? Is that?
Mark, when you get back, do you and I wanna sit down with him? I think it's better that 2 of us sit down with him rather than the one.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I sent out the documents for everybody to look over, just in case there needed to be changes. So those have all gone out. I think just a verbal to them. I don't think we're going to completely change the documents at this point, but we can talk with him. I mean, he's always included tax, and then his gratuity is on his dinner only. And a lot of the times he will just work with the outings himself. you know, so, I mean, we can definitely reach out to each outing and clarify, but like Jerry said, we should probably talk to him first and, all get on the same page.
Yeah, I think, you can talk to him, and I don't think it's a matter of, the outing, when that form comes back in, that it could be, you can write on the form, tax and tip included and have the person sign off on it, because I just think that it needs clarity. I'll tell you what, and I guess Snuga has something else, because we have an outing there this year, but, people wanna know what their bill is gonna be, and they don't want surprises, and we've had issues in the past. They think you write it doesn't have to be typed down, you write it right on there, and you both agree whether tax and tip are included or not. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think going forward, I know this year it's not gonna happen, but maybe next year, Ramsey has his own contracts.
Yeah, I agree.
That would be good.
Discuss with them, I think that'd make things a little cleaner.
Yep.
Agreed.
Hey, Mark, the outings, 13, is that up, down, or is that the same?
It's the same. We actually, we definitely added, let's see, we added 2 outings this year that we didn't have that have verbally committed. We did lose 1 outing that they're just not doing it anymore. So it's not that we lost it to another course. They just discontinued their shotgun. So it is up, I guess, 1 outing. But those are the ones that are big, that are over 60 players. We do a lot of like 32 player, 24 player kind of mini outings.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sebi?
Yeah, I got a question. Hey, Mark, night golf, all right? Night golf, I'm not sure how many players we have for night golf for playing the front 9, but I'm not sure that's a good thing for the course, because every time I play the next day after night golf, there's divots all over the place, and I don't blame the golfers. They probably just can't see it at night. All right. I don't think night golf does a lot for the golf course. I think we've dodged the bullet over the years because somebody could get hurt out there. All right, and it's a liability.
I agree with you, Seb. I mean, night golf originally was a great idea. We generated a little extra revenue, probably like upwards of 4,000 or 5,000 in revenue for the town at night. But I'm not a big fan anymore, just because you're right. The golf course kind of takes a beating, and then the weekend players that are paying $60 the next day, it's a no fault. You're right. The golfers, because when you take a divot, you can't see it. But then on top of that, there's a lot of trash that's out there.
Yeah,
the next day.
there is. Yeah, it is.
So
It is.
Unfortunately, we have a couple charities that have night golf scheduled.
And maybe this is the last year we do it.
Yeah.
All right, something to say.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. I'm not, really. We've had some situations too in the restaurant a couple years ago with one of the night golf where there was an altercation because of intoxication, and I just think it probably shouldn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, can I ask you a question?
Yep.
Would you be opposed, tell me if it's gonna screw everything up, if we put a set of markers out at the beginning of the fairway so they're not chewing up the tees? Or
I
does that
think
take
it's the
away- or
fairway.
does that take away
I think
from-
it's the fairways Sebi's talking about.
Right.
Oh, I see it on the tees, more so than the fairway, but I guess you're right, okay.
People are taking their carts to the traps too, so.
Oh, yeah. No, well, the push carts,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Have a
Hey,
good trip.
safe travels.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for moving me up, Pete. I gotta
All
still
right.
pack.
Safe travels.
All right, everybody, be well, and when I get home, I'll bring some good weather home with me.
There you go.
Thank you, actually.
All right, take it easy, y'all.
Alrighty. We were talking about CIP, so we just continue that for a few minutes. So, I guess, Jared, if we could just be, a little more transparent with everybody,
Sure.
talk about,
Yeah.
what your plan is for the next month or whatever with CIP.
That works,
And
that's
then,
good, that's a good thing.
Okay.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, and then it sounds like you're gonna work on a policy, right, for CIP, like.
I already spoke to Kevin regarding CIP, and we're
Right.
gonna be sitting down and coming up with a definition for it.
Yeah, like the roof said.
I mean, why is mulch different than a tree? You know, and that's.
But like Roche was saying, long-term versus
Yeah.
short-term.
Right.
We have operating materials, that comes out of that account.
Right. All right, the clock.
The clock.
The infamous clock.
That's it, baby.
Well, the
That's a dark
update,
story, yeah.
the one update I do have from the last time that I passed out the sheet, I didn't make copies for everybody this time. We did contact the donors and nobody has, you know, asked for their funds back or said that the funds couldn't be used for a clock. So that was one step that we needed to do, and I agree, and we did do that. So we are short.
No, you took a second step. Don't sell yourself short. You look before council, an audience of citizens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And explain the situation,
Correct.
which was right, yeah.
So now I frankly don't know where we stand because we've had discussions that can CIP money be used for that deficit? Because originally we were thinking perhaps not, but now perhaps it can based on what I heard tonight. So can we proceed with that?
I'd be happy to.
Okay.
I'd like to put it to bed.
Yeah, okay.
We have-
Your balance still, Jerry, you got 28 and change, 29 in there now.
We need about
You're
$4
gonna
grand.
You're gonna
Need
need,
five
you're gonna
grand.
need 5 grand.
Let's say 5 grand,
You're gonna
right?
need-
So you got 23 left, what else do you have to?
I got a stump grind,
What's that gonna,
about another 5.
another 5, stump all those, there's 3 on 11, I mean, right, 10, 11 right there, there's 3 right there, right? Or is it 3, there's 3 on 4, there's 1
No,
on,
there's 4 on 4.
there's 4 on 4, okay, then there's,
We got 7, Yellen, that came down, we've dug a lot out. We've dug everything out of 4, the wooded area where that was all rock, it truly was. The back of 4, the pines, they're still there, we can't dig those out, because we'll take the cart path, which is already in disrepair, so those gotta get ground. There's 4 back there, you got a couple on 7,
so the whole, what's it gonna cost you to
I
grind them
figure
all?
around 5-6 grand.
Do everything throughout the course, everything you took down, all the stuff.
That's the stump, that's all in, with the stump
The
grind.
stump grinder, yeah.
Now we've gotta, bring in soil, plant seed, so
So what's that gonna cost you, another
I gotta do the math,
rough, But-
you're probably looking at, I would say, a $10,000 bill.
between
For
the all,
soil,
right,
if I go with seed.
5 and 5,
Yeah, well, no, I'm talking 5 for the stump grinder,
and 10
10 with
so
the
then-
soil and seed. There's a lot of areas that need to be seeded. That whole right side of 4 needs to get seeded, the back of 4, whether we build a couple of mounds to keep that from going on the backside with the carts
That's a good
and
Yeah,
creating the same situation you're
Otherwise
in
you're gonna
now.
have people cutting through.
Exactly, so
Yeah,
if I can
that's a good
discourage
idea.
that.
So are you looking to do this throughout the year or do it up front?
I'm trying to get it done, spring isn't the best time to do that, but I can't go through the season with it the way it is, I don't want to. So I'll seed it, or hydro seed, I'm not gonna seed, I'll probably wind up getting it all graded and bringing in a company to hydro seed it like we did on the 5-6 area. But yes, I see that getting done first, one of the first things we do, once the soil temperature is to a point where we can.
So that's 20 with the clock,
That's right.
So that gives us an $8,000 buffer for now.
That's where I like to be, because,
Grant?
yeah, because I try and keep 10,
Yeah,
because of
we're about
nights like
15 in
tonight.
there,
Yeah, nights like tonight, if we lose something, then I gotta bring it
to
back.
wash away.
Are you okay with that? With the clock and,
Eight.
with-
Well, I'm
You
with that- with that-
you okay with, I think where Peter's coming from, you okay with 8 grand in
Yes, I
there,
am,
in the pot, in your pocket
Absolutely.
to go forward?
yes, I am, I like to roll, that $8,000 to $10,000 number.
Alright.
Jerry, the senior men on that wall, right as you're walking to the first
Oh,
tee,
yeah,
that nice wall with the seniors,
yes,
can we put the clock there and include, I mean, that is such a perfect spot.
it is, I
for it.
agree with you, here's the issue,
And
it's,
I don't know.
it's gonna-
It's the power to it, right?
yeah, I
No,
mean,
no, I'm
they're
not
gonna
worried
have
about
to
the
cut.
power, it's just, I think the,
Well, that's what,
I mean,
that's
the location is just perfect there.
I agree with you, I agree.
Where are you looking at, Peter?
Where the senior bed is, on number
The
1.
senior bed on one, I
So
don't,
by
As you
the
come into
the
the
practice
courthouse.
screen. The practice green
You know.
and see, but the path.
Down below,
I-
No,
it's right there,
no.
when you come
As
into
soon
the
as
car
you,
path
just,
on the left-hand
as soon
side.
as you walk on the
I think
car
I
path for
weeded
one,
on
on the
volunteer
left
day.
there.
You did.
I would love to work with the seniors and see if we could work with them to get something accomplished so that the clock can go there and still have the seniors recognized there and
Well, you
everything,
could.
work together on that.
But I
as a
think
team.
Jerry has something to say about the power, it's gonna cost more to get it over there.
Yeah, it's a longer run.
Well, where were you planning on,
It's,
where were we
it's coming
planning
out
on
of
putting
the,
it?
we were gonna put it, as you enter 10,
10 on
on
the
the
right,
right-hand side where that big rock is, in that
Oh.
end
because the
part.
power's closer.
That's where it's the shortest run, because it's coming from the clubhouse peak. Actually, it's probably coming out of the utility room, because the box is in the utility room. It's not coming out of the pro shop.
How far did you have to make that cut?
Well, I'd have
To
to
get
cut
to
the
the-
road.
You gotta cut the road.
Can you?
You got a saw cut, Jim, all the way across where we used to keep the carts.
Right,
You gotta, dig up the you gotta saw cut the curbing, go across that little island, now then you gotta saw cut the road.
could you go into the starter shack?
No, you can't pull from the starter shack.
Okay.
I already asked them that.
Yeah, see, I thought you were planning on the first tee already, so I thought you were already across the
That
road.
was, again, Gail and I were talking, we all talked, it wasn't just Gail and I. We thought, the 10 area, and that's what my pricing was based on, that length of run and where the power was coming from.
And also, is it less susceptible to, I don't know, a lightning strike, cause it's closer to the building than out at number 1? No? Less susceptible to vandalism? I don't know.
Well, the vandalism is you're probably more susceptible, because now you're truly driving by it if
By
you're
it.
going to the park.
Right, whereas the other way,
The other way, it's
Yeah,
not,
I would love to know, A, if we can work with the seniors to do something as a team, and B, how much extra it would cost to put power out there.
I can get a price to run, because
Yes, sir.
the big,
Yeah, Bill Richards. You talking about the senior men's league or?
Whoever has that rock there with the plaque on it.
that little wall
I think it's senior men,
on 1.
I think it's senior men,
Cause I don't remember.
I don't remember.
But I mean, I don't know either, I mean, I certainly don't wanna take anything away from there, but I would love to add to it,
I'll
because
add to it.
now you
Yeah,
add to
add to
it, you've got, now we're forced to maintain and keep
I-
flowers there.
It's a very good idea. I'm gonna tell you right now. But Jim, I also appreciate it could be more susceptible to vandalism. Gail, it's gonna cost more money. It's a lot more work.
Couple grand.
I don't know, I still can't be sure.
Yes, you can. Starter shack.
Yeah.
Go to the right, you got the cart path that goes on to 10.
And just to the right of
Just
the
to the right
cart
of that
path,
is the-
there's a
Oh, the
big
wall.
stone.
Wait a minute, are you talking about what I'm talking about?
No, we're talking about where you wanna put it.
Put a solar panel
We
on.
talked about putting it on 10, so the starter shack is here, then there's a path, and then right to my right,
Yeah, the big rock.
there's a rock there,
Where
we
the
talked
cart
about
went,
there.
where the
And
cart
then-
went over.
Correct, and then Peter is suggesting on number
I know
1,
where that is now.
Okay.
when you head
suggesting
down the
across
cart
road.
path, as soon as you hit the cart path for number 1, on your left
Is the senior bed.
is a bedding, it's got a
I don't know.
evergreen type plant, and
I
it's
agree with
not
It's
well
got the
weeded,
retaining wall.
and it has a retaining wall with a plaque on it.
I think your idea is gonna be better, because I think it'd be more protected
The plaque.
by the number 10.
Yeah. So
By the number 10, it'll be more
See,
protected.
but they could see the clock, they'd be able to see the clock from the range, from the putting greens,
Oh, the range is gonna be a stretch.
you know?
It's not that tall.
No.
And it's
Tall
not
enough.
that big.
But yeah,
And the clock's gonna be below, I don't think you're gonna be able to see it from the.
And your eyes aren't that good anyways.
Mine
You'll see
Very
it from,
good.
you'll see it from a tennis court practice swing, obviously.
You'll see it from the putting green
And, yeah, the starter shack, obviously.
and probably the upper putting green, which you won't see the one on 10
That
from
you
the
would not see,
upper
correct.
putting green, but you would see that one.
All right.
Well, let's we'll figure it
So
out.
you want me to get another estimate to go to Pete's location, so you've got, it's
Yeah,
gonna be
let's-
more.
Could we, cause I'll take a picture of the area
It's
and
gonna be
I'll
substantially more.
Photoshop a clock in here so you can see what it would look like.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be
But then, I
substantially
mean,
more.
Bill, we cut you off, didn't we?
I'm sorry, yeah.
Well, I'm vice president of the senior men's and I can bring it up. But you're talking about on 1 only.
Well, let's get some costs
Yeah,
before we
Yeah,
bring it up.
because if it's
Because if it's another
we're not even
$15,000,
entertaining the idea.
then,
yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, just let me know.
Yeah,
When
Oh, yeah,
we
absolutely.
approach that.
yeah.
All right.
Okay. Policies.
This should be quick,
Did everybody take a good look at them?
because we've looked at these 3 or 4 times. And if we could actually start at the bottom, the season pass credit and refund policy was passed by town council, I should have typed it in there, on 7/20/2020. So if you go back to the minutes, that was passed. I would suggest,
I think it says it was on there too.
yeah, that if the other two, I would bring them all to town council again, just to, and you could say, we did this one, but just so they're all together as one package.
Perhaps we can put these on the same agenda as when we go to council for some sort of like status refresher.
Update, yeah, I would, and
Do you have any, does anybody have any changes to any of them? Because the only one I have changed is the cart damage, and every one of these things you have, the DOG or designee. And I think you need to just add that one to the cart damage policy.
Well, seasons pass already went, and credit care, credit card, not credit care. And then examples of code of conduct, the sentence, examples of conduct likely reflect unfavorably on the game and thus may result in consequences, not results in consequences.
so some type of.
Just a little like crap.
Well, who has the policies now?
Well, I emailed them out.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
everybody's got it.
Who's controlling
Gail
it?
has the official policies, yeah.
Or designee, that's all.
Alright,
So if you make the
give me a
change,
change,
okay.
circle it, please. And then I'll send them to you, and then I can add passed by town council 7/20, and then you can just add another date review. Okay, good. Thank you. And I'll,
Thank you.
okay, I'll be the secretary.
Well,
Hey,
me, I'll do them, I don't care.
You get a good pay, don't you?
That's fine.
Yeah, come on, you make more money than us.
On
On the commission. As far as the commission.
That's true.
You want me in the union?
Gail does pretty good, God bless her. All right, so we need a motion, once the change, those are the only changes that
They're just typos, there's
They're
no
just typos.
substance.
the substance is good? All right,
Motion to approve.
second
The
by
changes that
Jim.
were- Yeah.
All in favor, guys out there?
Aye,
Okay.
Hi,
All, everybody,
whenever a
I
road
couldn't
puts us
say
on the.
unanimous.
Well, I mean, I could put John on the agenda. You
Well,
want-
we'll have the update, ask the
Jim,
group,
Jim Green,
I'm gonna
or
be the only
as he's affectionately known, reply to all.
I know you had to throw that in there, right? You just can't let it go, can you?
Okay,
RTA we call it.
RTA, reply to all. Okay, profit and loss, no biggie there, right?
No,
No money coming
No.
in.
no money coming in, money going out.
Okay, T-sign account, we know that, and the CIP budget, we just talked about that. Any other questions from, La La Land over there? No, Sebby doesn't have his hand up, this is good. Okay, reports, we already did the golf report. All right, Jared?
Okay, well, again, we went to the February 1st council meeting, got the rates approved for 2022. Mark's doing his thing, and thank you, Mark, and, thank you for meeting with Tyndall and Golf Now as well. Thank you. Winter service on the golf carts is complete by EasyGo. Began working on the RFP for the golf cart lease, which will expire at the end of this year. We need to get that done sooner rather than later because golf carts, I don't wanna say they're difficult to get, but they are not easy to come by. And some of the courses that were flipping their fleet this past year weren't able to because of the inability to get carts. So we wanna get that going. And we'll look at all the vendors, EasyGo, Yamaha, I've been in touch with Yamaha, Club Car. They're not really, easy to get along with, but I will reach out to them. But I have talked to EasyGo, I have talked to Yamaha, and I'm working with them. I did speak with the EasyGo service manager regarding the installation of the Fairway IQ GPS on the leased golf carts, and here's the problem. There could be a problem. They're not really that familiar with Fairway IQ, they're not. So, one of two things, it will either void the remaining warranty on the cart, or it could, certainly he says it would probably most likely void any electrical issues that may come up. Even though they're tapping into the battery, that's my understanding, you could void if there was something other than the battery or, something electrical that goes wrong, they may not pick up that tab like they are now. So that's something to consider. So I talked to them and I talked to the salesperson about their GPS. And I said, look, Fairway IQ, I think they're looking into it because they weren't familiar with it. I said, this is my understanding, this is what it does, this is what it costs. So he's supposed to get back to me with a price and what the features they have compared to Fairway IQ, which we'd have to do anyhow. So I'm waiting to hear back from EasyGo regarding their GPS system. The question then becomes, this is the last year of the lease. Do we want to do this now, or do we want to just do it when we fall in? Because are we gonna go through all this aggravation to install, whether it's Fairway IQ or whatever, and then pull it all back out in October?
I don't disagree with that.
And EasyGo is like, well, why do you wanna do this now? They came right out and said, why do you wanna do this now?
But Jerry, I would like to.
But we have to start doing our homework, because it's gonna
That's what I was gonna say, is if we get all the ducks in a row now, by
Absolutely,
next year,
we're ready to rock and roll.
and
Put it in the budget.
we already told the council that we may go up, we may go there for a little price increase, that may not happen this year because of that, but did you present those questions to Fairway IQ? Did you give them a call and say, what do other courses do that lease? I mean, cause they're saying.
No, I have not reached out to them, no.
Maybe worth a phone call just to see if they've dealt with, EasyGo saying that they would void the warranty, what's your take on it?
Well, he says, I'm not, he said, we may void it, I said, we most likely would void any electrical issues that would occur with the car, we would probably not.
Because I know that he's looking to, I think did he reach out to you, the guy from Fairway IQ at all?
Yes, he has, yes, yeah.
I would get back to him and at least let him know.
I spoke with him, it's been a while now, we had a nice conversation, nice guy. And I told him, it's gonna have to go through the bid process.
Yeah, but they're doing this all over the place,
Mhm.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
chances that EasyGo is they're not sold any.
Yeah, they weren't
That
really.
just doesn't make it.
He
maybe
said,
salesperson.
what it is, he said, what is it? I said, Fairway IQ, because I'm not familiar with that, I don't know what that is.
That's why it's worth a phone call to Fairway IQ to
Yeah,
see how
talk to them,
easy
yeah,
go
they already
and how
know
they
who-
deal with
yeah,
it.
exactly.
You know?
So you don't go down the pipe, who they're compatible with and who they're not,
Right.
Okay. That's all.
And we're gonna have to pose that question if we go with Yamaha to Yamaha.
No matter,
Yeah,
no matter
everybody,
what,
yes, yes.
They'll tell you who
Yeah.
they're with, and that way.
And I've had conversations with Yamaha already, and we've talked about GPS, and they're all trying to sell their GPS. Come on, let's be honest. And I do like the fact that, speaking with EasyGo, they do shut the cart down, they do have to back up and
The problem that you may have with that though, and is suppose someone has a heart attack.
No,
You know what I
it's
mean?
possible.
And all of a sudden now we're at risk.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because
I know.
now you just can't go. You have to go along the path in order to get to where you go from versus a straight line.
Yeah.
And
You're right.
I mean, listen, it's a double-edged sword because
It is.
no way somebody will just turn down.
but see here, so I agree, you gotta look at the safety factor, or the safety issue, or the lack of it there. It is, as an example, we set the geofence, can't go behind 4 green. Okay, and somebody decides, I'm going behind 4 green. And Jim Norton's up on 5T getting ready to hit his ball. And he hears beep, and I assume this is a rather loud.
They're annoying.
They're
They're
annoying,
the reverse
whatever.
one, actually.
Well,
Jim Norton may look over and say, what the hell? Or if you're on 3 green and he's on 4T and he's up behind 3 green up on the flat there, and he's hitting his T-ball on 4. But I agree with you, if it becomes a safety issue. If somebody somebody's having a heart
Yeah.
attack, they need to get
All the
back.
GPSs do that though, when you're backing up, the reverse, when you have to back out, the reverse horn sounds.
Right,
Yeah, but you have somebody that's parked there, right, and they don't care if it's beeping or not, right?
I know.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying
That
that,
could happen
that
too.
the horn is gonna sound no matter what GPS you use.
Right.
If they shut the cart down and you go in reverse, you're in reverse on the cart, you're gonna have the reverse horn.
But Peter, listen, everybody else is using them, they're using them.
Yeah, no,
They have no problem with people having a heart attack. We'll get you out of here sometime.
well, and again,
No,
fortunately, it doesn't
I don't wanna get off topic.
change a whole system
No,
for
no,
the rare,
Right.
once in a lifetime.
Yeah, I don't wanna get off topic, but when we design our bridges, one of the things you have to take into consideration, if you have to get an ambulance across to say 13
Right.
or 17, you have to have access to that. And people say, well, why do you need to keep, have those two large bridges there? Well, number one, it's for our equipment, that's number one.
Right.
And number two, and more importantly, should something happen on 13, 17, or whatever, and you need to get across, you have to have access for that ambulance to drive across.
Makes sense.
So that's why,
Yeah.
you can't just build little bridges.
That
No,
makes sense.
that's why you got it, anyway.
Yeah. So,
Okay, good.
we'll follow up and, like I said, let's get it resolved before we, flip the fleet.
Did, Ramsey's dishwasher and all that stuff, did that all?
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, that looked good up there.
Yeah.
Good. All right,
Yeah, facilities is doing a hell of a job up there. They are.
gotta put a new drain and everything. It's all new.
New drain on, is that what you want to say?
New drain,
I just have a clarifying, we're talking about going to town council, it sounds like Arosh wants to put us on the agenda for a summary and then these policies can go. What are the dates of the council meetings? Is it the first and third Tuesday?
Yeah, so is it February 1st or 2nd is the first meeting?
Well, we already
Hold
have.
on, Seb, I got you.
March, I'm sorry.
So it would be March first
I would prefer end of March if,
or March,
so we can put our
Yeah.
heads together
or March
and
22nd.
collectively come
Right?
up with a,
That's why I'm trying to discuss it so
Something that
that we
makes
can.
Yeah, so you're right, yeah, it'll be either February 1st,
Or the 15th, is it the 3rd? I don't know what their schedule is.
yeah, then they take a week off and then.
So it's 3/1 or 3/15.
I believe so, yeah.
Or then the next one would be April 5th. Cause they don't meet on. They meet the 1st and 3rd, right?
Correct.
So then it's March 1st, March 15th, or 4 or 5. So we
Sebby?
don't,
oh,
well,
I'm sorry,
so we don't want March 1st,
no,
that's too soon.
too soon,
I agree,
yeah.
I agree.
I'd like, what is it, the third, is it the third Tuesday?
Yeah, it would be the 3rd Tuesday, which is March 15th.
And we have the third Thursday, so we can't,
No, you could do it. You have the third Thursday, that's the
17.
and when's the council meeting?
15th.
Yeah, see, I don't wanna do that, I wanna get together as a.
Then have a special meeting versus the.
Yeah, we could do a special
You'll do a
meeting,
special meeting.
Maybe we should do
before
a
that.
special meeting.
just for that.
Or now you're into, April 5th, which isn't that bad.
Yeah, no, just the sooner the better.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. And have a
Alright, we'll have a
special meeting and.
Sebby, go ahead, please.
shoot for the-
Yeah, hey, well, I got a question for Jerry and then I got one for you, Peter.
Jimmy's got a
Jerry,
question.
what are the things that you might want to consider on number 18? Behind 18, going up, where the path is there, I've seen a lot of guys that don't play Timberland, they play it for the first time. They'll drive the golf cart behind the green on 18, and then they
And
get
off the
stuck
curb.
on the curb.
They get stuck on the curb,
All
yeah.
right. Is there something that we can do there to make that curb a little higher, or put some rocks there so that, they see it, they can't go over it?
Honestly, I was gonna put some rocks there.
All
I
right,
was. I don't know how that's gonna affect play, if they blow it over the green and it bounces off the rock and they get upset, I don't know. But that was my plan, because even if you made that curb taller, they're probably more likely to get hung up, there's gonna be a
Yeah,
larger
right,
drop.
right.
Right now, it's
Yeah.
only a little 4-inch curb.
a
But
couple
they do,
times
you
I
can see
have
the
to help
marks.
these guys get it out of there,
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, you can see the marks on the curbing
Yep,
from the skid plate hitting, so yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we've all been called, you, myself, P, I'm sure, and we had to push them off the curb, yeah.
yep.
So to answer your
And-
question, my plan was to put rocks along that edge.
Just make sure our pull carts can get through.
Well, no, so long as they're, so they
Right.
lessen the width of a car, it's all.
Yeah, that's the question I have for you. And then Peter, question for you is, do we need to get on the agenda for the ordinance meeting, next ordinance meeting? I think we should. I think we should get on the agenda and, present our case again for the ordinance.
Why
I
don't
don't
we
know
bring-
that they want me to be at that meeting.
Why don't we, well, they don't think they schedule regular ordinance
They,
meetings.
they don't. Let's present to the council and
Council.
see what feedback they give us first, Sebi.
Because I
Yeah.
brought it up at the last council meeting, Mark commented about it today, saying it should be looked at, so let's bring it up at the meeting, at the council.
Okay, all right,
Agreed.
that
I mean,
works.
it's
You shouldn't let it die.
it's serious now, right?
Yeah, while it's hot, let's go for it.
So,
Yeah.
okay. Anybody else?
Jimmy
Jimmy
Patel.
Utility.
Oh, Jimmy, yes, sir.
Unmute him.
Hold on, Jimmy, I gotta unmute you. Wow. Go ahead, Jim.
Before we cut Jerry loose, I just wanted to tell him, I've been walking the course before I left almost every morning for the past couple weeks. And I've been noticing the changes that have been made. Jerry, some of them are excellent. I can't agree more with you. Some of them I don't agree. But based on our charter, we have direct influence on any modifications that you make or how you spend CIP money. I would just like you to be more transparent in telling us ahead of time what your game plan is so we can discuss it. And if there is a conflict of how we're spending CIP money towards it, we could talk about it instead of you just running and doing it.
I agree.
Thank you.
It just, life gets so much better for everybody when we're all on the same page. And did you see the wall? Jim, did you see the wall on 4?
Listen, I agree. I think it looks terrific.
That's pretty cool.
Like I said, I don't agree with
Yeah, first
everything,
one.
but the stuff that you did that I agree with, I think it's an
No, because I know
improvement.
you're out there every day walking. I'm just curious if you actually, because it's been frozen, but now it's very wet. I was just trying to get your feedback on the wall on 4. That's all.
I absolutely did and actually I even dragged Al out there and made him
Oh,
walk
yeah.
see all the changes. Yes, I've noticed everything.
Okay, good.
Thank
good.
you for
No,
most of
thank
that.
you.
Thank you, Jim. We're gonna let Alina go early. Now, what do you think?
Yeah, go home. Get out
Are
of
we
here.
done?
Anything else
Oh,
from anybody?
you gotta be kidding me. We're done?
I make a motion to
Also
adjourn.
baby.
Dangerfield over
All
there.
right, hold on, we're gonna let Seb, because his hand, we're gonna let him make a motion.
His hand's up the whole time.
And we're gonna let Jim Green second it. Okay, all in favor?
I mean, wrong.
Aye.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Good night.
I know.
8 o'clock.
I know.
That's unheard of.
I can go inside suffering.